Welcome to the Top 5 Tuesday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by our friends at the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Good to be with you. Good to be with everybody on this Tuesday. Wade Neely saying hello. David Wilson is beside us yet again, and our producer, Mark Rogers, making magic happen back at Main Street HQ. David, good afternoon. How we doing on this Top 5 Tuesday?
I'm well. The Braves last night put me in a good mood, good start to the week. Went over the Mets once again, 4-0 against those guys. I'm sure we'll get into that really quickly here on the rundown. But, anytime you can beat the Mets to start your week, it's a good week.
Yeah, I feel like, the Braves got bigger fish to fry and they have bigger ambitions than just beating the Mets. But anytime you beat your rival, anytime you beat a team like that, you just got to feel good, right?
Yeah, and it's probably sad that my happiness nowadays kind of depends on what the Met or the Braves do on a night in, night out basis. With no basketball, with that being over with, no football right now, no hockey, it's baseball or nothing right now. You watch a movie on the TV, so the Braves are going to be my barometer the next couple of weeks for my happiness scale. So we're feeling good today. I would have been in a bad mood today if they would have lost.
Yeah. It's we that doesn't sound like any sports fans that we know. Just living and dying on our teams and what they do. But that's what brings us back, and that's what keeps us going. And hopefully, that's what brings our viewers in today. We got a big show, folks. We mentioned it is Top 5 Tuesday. At the end of our show, this should be a fun one. We will debate, David and I. We might even lure producer Mark into the mix here. But we're going to talk chain restaurants. I'm a big chain restaurant guy, and I got a few particulars on my list that hopefully David doesn't snipe. We will give you our top 5 favorite. Again, that's our final segment on Tuesday, Top 5 Tuesday. We'll get into the grab bag in the second hour. A lot to talk about in the grab bag. SEC football, but SEC football through the lens of one of the all-time greats. The head ball coach had some comments recently about another SEC school, and it just feels like old times when Steve Spurrier is in the headlines, and we'll break that down. We'll also talk recruiting at the college level. We do have an update from Tyrese Halliburton himself, a very heartfelt message that he put out. We will discuss that. We'll also talk about the Nashville Cats. We told you guys they will play for an arena championship this weekend. You can check it out. Maybe unless you're going to Albany, you can't see it in person, but we'll give you the next best thing, which will be coming up a little bit later. It is Tuesday. We will catch up with the Blue Raider voice, Chip Walters. He will be joining us at the 3 o'clock hour. A lot going on MTSU's campus, despite the fact we're smack dab in the middle of summer here. So good to catch up with Chip. Again, that'll come your way at the start of the 2 o'clock hour. Still to come in this hour, though, we will talk Braves. We'll have a little This Day in Braves history. I'm going to try my hand at it one more time. Keep Mo happy there. But also, I got a bonus baseball history nugget that happened on this day years ago. So stay tuned for that coming up. We will talk about the Braves and their mastery of the Mets. They'll go back at it at 6:10 tonight. We'll talk about that as well as some other MLB headlines. And we got an update on some of our local kids. I say local to David and mine, our coverage areas and teams and players that we have covered. We'll give you that. A little bit later, we will also announce the the TSWA All-State baseball teams, which were unveiled earlier today. We'll break those down. Big show. Top 5 Tuesday always delivers. David, I hope I didn't get your appetite a little too much going with the chain restaurant there. My stomach's kind of grumbling just bringing it up here right now.
Right. You got me thinking, that's for sure. I was on the way home about an hour ago, and I turned off the radio, turned off the music. I was like, top 5 restaurants if I had to pick right now. If the exit, I saw the sign, would I pull off and go? So you had me thinking. So I made sure I did this after I ate lunch, not before.
Yeah, I did the bass backwards, unfortunately. I have not ate lunch, so it'll be a lengthy 2 hours for me in that regard. Maybe I can dig into the fridge here during a break. But it's going to be a big show. With that being said, we might as well kick things off. We start the show each and every single day with yesterday's results and today's schedule. We start every show, ladies and gentlemen, with the rundown.
This is the rundown.
David, we only had one result yesterday, and it was so good and it was so nice to you. I'm going to let you do the honors to start us off.
Yeah, the Braves kicking off a 4-game set in Flushing, Queens, up at Citi Field against the Mets, and they get a 3-2 victory on the back of a dominant start by Spencer Schwallenbach, who goes 7 innings yet again against the Mets. That's the 5th time in the career he's gone against the Metropolitan, 7 innings plus. And then Dylan Lee out of the bullpen with some stones, striking out Juan Soto with the bases loaded in 8th inning to preserve the lead and come back out in the 9th. Braves 3-2 winners over the Mets, who have lost 9 of their last 10. That's just so good to hear.
Woo, yeah. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and that is good news for the Braves and bad news for the Mets. Good win last night for the Bravos. Speaking of those two teams, we go to today's schedule. We mentioned it. They will get it on tonight. Game 2 of that series gets underway at 6:10. You can see it on FanDuel Sports. You can also see it on TBS. 1 hour later at 7:10 p.m. Central Time, it'll be the Phillies at the Astros this evening. They open their series again at 7:10. The Nashville Sounds kick off their road swing at Jacksonville, taking on the Jumbo Shrimp. That series begins, and that game begins tonight at 6:05 p.m. Other scores or other schedule notes tonight, we got a slew of games in the WNBA, 3 of them coming your way at 7 o'clock, and then a nightcap to follow. Starting at 7, it'll be the Lynx at the Mystics, it'll be the Dream at the Wings, and the Sparks will be at the Sky. The Sparks and Sky will be broadcast on NBA TV, as will our final game tonight. It'll be the Fever at the Storm. That gets underway at 9 p.m. So 4 games in total, 2 games on NBA TV at 7 and 9 p.m. That is your WNBA schedule, ladies and gentlemen. That is your Tuesday schedule, and that concludes our Tuesday rundown. Top story, as always, brought to you by the fine folks over at Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Meal in Columbia. Make sure you check them out for your delicious daily lunch options. Everything is cost plus 10 at the cash register. Piggly Wiggly over at Neely's Meal in Columbia, bringing you today's top story. David, I was scrolling through and wondering about our top story today. The NFL is always in the news. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. What if I told you that the NFL and the words collusion would be put together? Would that be a great shock to you, or no, do you think?
No, that would never happen. The NFL, the money grubby kind of organization that they are, the colluding, that all that goes on behind the scenes, all that would never happen. Wait, never.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what I thought too. Right? I wanted to have a nice rosy outlook on life, but it turns out, that's maybe not the case. Some folks have been digging. And not just any folks, Mike Florio and Pablo Torre. If those two guys are on your case, buckle up, because they're going to keep digging until they find something. Well, it turns out they have found something. The NFL has kind of been drug into some murky waters, winning an arbitration case, these two guys have found out. But in the court of public perception, it seems like they have lost. And so we're reading from Pro Football Talk, but also Pablo Torre finds out. His podcast has a great episode that came out today, kind of breaking things down. But David, really the whole crux of the matter issues, there is collusion at hand, so it appears. The NFL wanting its teams to collude in regards to player contracts. And I found this story fascinating because just yesterday you had asked and posed the question, are the draft picks, are their salaries kind of slotted? We talked about NFL, we talked about salaries, and then poof, this story ends in our lap. At the crux of all this, we shouldn't be surprised, I guess, but that $230 million contract from Deshaun Watson several years ago, it was a 5-year fully guaranteed deal. And it turns out right around the same time, for some reason, I can only imagine why. I'm curious your thoughts. The NFL decided maybe it's best if all of our teams don't get in the business of handing out these massive deals. That led to some digging, like I said, by Pablo, led to some digging by Mike Florio. And here we kind of find ourselves. The NFL won an arbitration ruling, David, but they kind of have mud and egg all over their face because it seems like the Big Shield wanted its 32 teams to collude.
Yeah, wait, I remember when Deshaun Watson signed his deal after the trade over from Houston, and it was a benchmark deal for quarterback market in the NFL in general, because at that time you really did not see guaranteed contracts, fully guaranteed, handed out to NFL players. You see it in free agency all the time, how a player will sign a contract for X amount of money, but we knew in the terms of NFL that he probably would not see all that money because NFL contracts are not guaranteed. They're not like baseball contracts. They're not like basketball contracts that once you sign for that X on the dotted line, that's what you get. So, Deshaun Watson contract was historic. And then we can see why behind the scenes how some members of the NFL's shield, as you mentioned, probably didn't want that to continue moving forward.
Yeah, very interesting kind of how this plays out. And we kind of have a different viewpoint of this considering how poorly in terms of production the Watson deal. If he goes on to 5 years MVP caliber play, maybe we don't view this the same way. I mean, it's still kind of crummy in that sense when you're talking about withholding or colluding in terms of collective bargaining. But it kind of makes for a little bit of a different lens considering kind of how poorly things went from start to finish, really, with Watson there. The other kind of interesting piece of this whole thing, David, is it turns out that Russell Wilson, also a charismatic character, I guess, in terms of Westbrook. But Wilson was kind of at the same time getting ready to, pony up for a deal with the Broncos. And it turns out the NFLPA kind of maybe thought Russ didn't get as much as he should, didn't maybe do his due diligence. They even, there's a report that the term, quote, wuss was used. They kind of say that he really didn't go after the contract as much as he should have. And at that point, that's when things kind of start to crumble. And at that point, it seems like the NFL kind of said, whoa. We kind of have a nice, stable, good thing going where we hold all the cards. We don't want these guys going out and getting these fully guaranteed deals. So you have the contract for Watson, and then by maybe not getting as much as he could have or should have, Wilson maybe, quote unquote, failed the NFLPA at that time. And now we sit here a couple years later with everybody kind of looking around like, what the heck, how the hell did this just happen?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to me how they're saying that Russ didn't get all he could get out of his contract. I mean, he did sign for 5 years, $245 million as I look
Seems pretty
at my
good to
phone right
me.
now. Pretty good money. Now, it was
Yeah.
$165 million guaranteed. Probably could have bumped that up a little bit. But, if I was making $165 million, I wouldn't be complaining too much. I'd be happy with that. Have Sierra as my wife. I'd be having a good little life. Wouldn't you think?
I would imagine so. And yeah, that's the part that's fascinating, right? Is I get it in a sense. The NFLPA, their job is obviously to advocate for the players to the maximum. The NFL is obviously going to give maximum resistance, both collectively and individually as franchises. And so, I can understand the viewpoint that, hey, Russ, we were really banking on you to go out and get the absolute most bag, get the absolute most guaranteed. Because it does kind of feel, and all this was kind of bubbling behind the scenes, and maybe we knew and just overlooked it, or maybe we didn't know. I feel like I didn't know the kind of real scope of this, David, until this story comes out today. But I get the NFLPA kind of feeling like Russ maybe did them a little bit of disservice, because if you had Watson and Russ, two of your premier quarterbacks, is certainly at that time shining up and ponying up for full deals right there, it felt like maybe the tide could have turned maybe a little more further in terms of player empowerment.
Exactly. And I mean, we've seen it over the last several seasons how the benchmark for quarterbacks and their contracts just continues to go up and up with how much money that the NFL makes with all its deals. Now they're on Amazon Prime, things of that nature. They're on Netflix last year. The money in the NFL is just continue going to go up. I mean, it is a phenomenon of its own. It is the must-watch event. So the contracts that these players are going to get, whether you're a quarterback, the just contracts in general are going to continue to go up. So I think the NFLPA was definitely looking for a benchmark for the more guaranteed dollars that we can make for our players will be good on their behalf.
Absolutely. And NFLPA President J.C. Treader, and again, Mike Florio, Pablo Torre, kind of the two that are it was kind of unique the way they did this. They basically challenged each other as professionals and said, we both are chasing the same story. Let's see who can get to it first. Sounds like Pablo won that battle if you're keeping score, but both of them doing great reporting. But they do find that J.C. Treader, quote, repeatedly insulted Wilson, even referring to him as a wuss over his inability to get that fully guaranteed deal. There's a quote that says, instead of being the guy that made guaranteed contracts a norm, Wilson's the guy that ruined it for everyone. And man, when they paint that picture, I didn't know how delicate we were hanging in the balance. But I mean, if we were one player away from maybe getting something like this kind of coming to pass, who knows, right? I mean, their viewpoint is Wilson was right there. And if he was number 2, we would have probably had something different going on today. But I just find that part fascinating because they paint this picture that we were right on the edge of the cliff. And if Wilson had jumped off, it would have started kind of a cavalcade of events. But in now, it still feels, to your point, like we're trending in that direction, but maybe not as quickly as the NFLPA would have liked.
And I guess my reaction to that is, remember, these contracts are a two-way street. Of course, the player is going to want the most guaranteed money that he can possibly get, but the team also has to be willing to sign that part as well. And if the team is not willing to go far enough, and especially with the league kind of whispering in the ear that, hey, let's not give the amount of guaranteed money that we're trying to get, then the GMs are going to listen to their owners on that regard and not hand out those contracts. So it's definitely a two-way street. I know that the NFLPA is going to continue to push that. But once again, both sides have to come to a deal, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And to kind of put a bow on this before we slide into a break here, Florio does go on. Pablo Torre finds out. I haven't listened to the episode yet. I'm going to do that hopefully today or first thing in the morning. So those two together kind of really will give you a great breakdown. But Florio on his website, Pro Football Talk, describes this as the most significant court ruling in American sports since 1994. And to kind of really encapsulate everything, the NFL was trying to keep this on the hush-hush. And Florio closes by saying, even though the NFL won, it was caught with its hand in the collusion cookie jar. And they were only saved by the fact that the judge believed that no cookies were consumed, despite the fact there was crumbs. So I love that analogy. It turns out there was kind of crumbs all around the place. I'm visualizing me late at night, speaking of hungry earlier, I'm visualizing me going around and getting in the Oreo box here, and then there's crumbs, and then the wife comes in and says, were you eating Oreos last night? No, I wasn't. Well, what the hell? Why are all these crumbs here? So the NFL might have won in the terms of the court ruling, but public perception seems like they have lost, and kind of what that means going forward, I don't really know, but it'll be interesting to find out. So kind of a unique story that breaks here today as our top story, presented by Piggly Wiggly at Neely's Mill over in Columbia. Once again, a reminder, folks, check them out for all of your delicious daily deli lunch options, where everything is cost plus 10 at the cash register. That brings us to our first break of the afternoon. When we come back, David and I will open up a little bit of an not old wound, but we put baseball season behind us at Spring Fling a couple weeks ago. But there's always a little something extra to talk about. And the TSWA announced its all-state baseball teams. David and I will go through the selections and give some folks their flowers on the other side of this timeout. You're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
Busy bee, yeah, busy bee. If you need
Hold on, y'all, hold on. I need to make a call. Hey, this is Brianna with Busy Bee. I'm giving you a call to let you know your technician is on his way.
3-3.
Oh, busy bee. Guys, not yet. Not yet.
Busy bee, oh,
Now I'm
busy
ready,
bee.
guys.
Call 775-7833.
Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Top 5 Tuesday rolling right along here on Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely sitting in the saddle alongside David Wilson. David, you were on site. I was in Murfreesboro for the spring fling, but I didn't get a chance to cover any baseball, but you were kind of boots on the ground. So I hope, like I said, I hope I'm not giving you a little bit of PTSD because you logged so many hours in Murfreesboro. But I found it kind of cool today. The TSWA has officially announced its all-state selections after a lengthy regular season and then obviously a week or so in Murfreesboro.
Right, absolutely. I believe I had three baseball teams at Spring Fling this year: White House Heritage, and East Robertson. Had a softball team in Joe Burns, and also had some tennis players from Springfield making their first trip to Spring Fling on the girls' side, and the first time in program history. So I do have PTSD from Spring Fling. I feel like I was all over the place. I feel like I was in all the wrong places at the wrong time, but we made it work. We survived it, and obviously it's just a great event that the TLSA puts on down in Murfreesboro. That will change the couple year next year when we move kind of some sports around and they go to East Tennessee. I'm going to miss having everything in one spot, but it's a great event that they put on, and it's just to see the kids rewarded with that moment to play on the state's grandest stage, and for them to have some good moments and to see some really good players and teams. It's obviously super fun, and can't believe I've been to two of them already. It goes by so fast.
Yeah, it flies by, and I hadn't thought about mentioning this, but now that you brought it up, it is worth mentioning. I think it was discussed a little bit on the show last week, but I guess humor me at least for a moment, David. TSSAA changing the spring fling calendar. Part of me likes that. Part of me doesn't like that. I'm kind of curious, where do you come down kind of on the changes that they've announced?
I feel like it makes it harder for people like you and I, people in our profession who want to genuinely cover everything that we possibly can. Just the logistics of having, track and field go to East Tennessee, go to Knoxville, makes it harder on us, definitely for the travel. You think about that's the week before now spring fling happens here in Murfreesboro. But, sub-states are still going on at that point for softball and baseball, and you want to be able to cover those as well and do those service. So it makes it really challenging on our part logistically to try to cover the athletes as best as we can. So I can understand it, how they want to move it around, definitely with the facilities that they have out in East Tennessee to service our track and field athletes. But for the sports writers, it's kind of a nightmare logistically trying to get everything figured out.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's hard for us as writers not to and media members not to be kind of focused on how difficult things kind of now are for us. But if I can, it's a struggle for me, but if I can overlook that, I do think there is some good there's some real value in playing championships at your best facilities. And if you're able to do that, whether that means you got to stretch it out or whether it means you got to move it around the state, I do see some value in that. But frequent flyer miles, not really an option, but certainly a gas card will be handy this time next year. So I'm kind of with you. It will make it challenging. We'll do the best we can to be nimble, but yeah, it'll be tricky. We started it off with baseball though, and I do want to mention before we get into the teams, Eagleville, Lakeland Prep, Greenville, Farragut, Columbia Academy, and Lipscomb Academy were your champions this year. We talked with Coach Estep from Columbia Academy earlier this month on the kind of run the Bulldogs made, but David, you were kind of, again, boots on the ground. It seemed like, especially some texts that were coming in from you on updates throughout the course of the tournament, it seems like we got some really compelling games and some really worthy champions, however it played out across all of our classifications.
Right. I was really excited, obviously, as the Robertson County sports editor this past season. Excited to see the matchups and I guess they played twice, excuse me, between Eagleville and East Robertson, two really good programs. Obviously, Eagleville has won, I believe, 4 in a row now in Class 1A. But for them to face East Robertson was a really cool matchup to see, a back and forth game on that semifinal Friday after the rain came in on Tuesday. White House Heritage made a heck of a run in Robertson County as well to the Final Four and to the semifinals of the winners bracket for the first time in program history. So a lot of good teams made really good runs here locally in the mid-state. And for Columbia Academy, for Lipscomb and Eagleville, who are our mid-state programs, to pay it off once again in Dogpile and Murfreesboro is obviously really cool. And there's some really great players on this list, even on some teams that were really good that didn't even make it to spring playing. So a lot of teams represented across the board, across the state when you look at this list that we're about to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, as we dive into it, yeah, you will obviously hear some players maybe a little more represented that were in Murfreesboro, but there are some worthy folks that were not. I'll kick us off. We'll start with Class 1A. Your two catchers for 1A were Luke Treese, a senior from Coalfield, Noah Graves, a senior from Greenback. Across the infield, Eagleville, Oliver Springs, and East Robertson represented as Brady Burns, a senior, Eli Brummett, a senior, and Kason Young, a sophomore, all on that list. Other infielders were Will Edwards and J.J. Caudill from Greenfield and Greenback, respectively. Going to the outfield at the single A level, Levi Heidel from Coalfield, he's a senior. Brody McDaniel, a senior from Bradford, and Cooper Stevenson from University School Johnson City, a senior. A couple of utility players, Jackson Treese from Coalfield, he's a sophomore. Colton Bennett, a junior from Gordonsville. And then we get into the pitchers, some really good pitching at the single A level this year, as Jacob McMurray from Whitwell, Easton Sullivan from Greenfield, Jay Foster, I should say, from Gordonsville, Waylon Burgess from Coalfield, Brody Gleason from the state champion Eagleville Eagles, Colby Rye from Perry County, and Gavin True, a guy that you know a little bit about over there at East Robertson. Good list on 1A, it seems like to me, David.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to shout out Brady Burns as well from the state champion Eagleville. That's the third time he's been a Tennessee Sports Writers Association All-State selection. Just looking at his stats this past year, absolutely absurd. He batted .540 with a state-high 27 doubles and a state-high 63 RBIs to go along with 9 home runs. So a fantastic offensive display. And for Luke Treese as well from Coalfield, I believe. Make sure I get that right. Yep, correct. Luke Treese. He batted .550 this past year with 21 doubles, 6 homers, and 52 RBIs. So some gaudy offensive numbers in Class 1A, and some really good pitchers as well. As you mentioned, Gavin True from East Robertson, King University commit, was absolutely phenomenal for the Indians all year long. His only 2 losses on the year came to state champion Eagleville and to White House Heritage, who made it to the Final Four, as I mentioned. You ready to jump into 2A?
Yes, sir. Take it away.
Class 2A, the two catchers, C.J. Potter from Watertown, who is a junior, and Jayden Kuhn from Hampton. He is also a junior. Across the infield, Cooper Spalding of Westview. He is a senior. Greg Eubanks from Huntington, a really good football player as well, a senior. Ryan Pitts from Lakeland Prep, the state champions out of 2A. He was a sophomore. Ty Etchman from Alcoa. He's a sophomore as well. And Ben Kaufman from Cannon County, a senior, gets on the list at that final infield spot. The outfielders, 4 of them, Bowen Combs from Meigs County, he's a sophomore. Wyatt Helton from Lakeland Prep, he's a sophomore as well. Bennett Gammon from out on the plateau at Smith County, he's a senior. And Jake Hinkle from Chucky Doak, he's a senior as well. Utility players, Christopher Dameron from Westview and E.J. Larkin up at Creekwood in Charlotte. He's a senior as well. The pitchers, Zeb Major from Watertown, lefty specialist. He is a senior. Tyler Oates from McMinn Central. He is also a senior as well. Miles Cox from Alcoa. He is a sophomore. Owen McMahon from Sycamore. He's a junior. Blow Kennedy from Alcoa. He's a senior. Jaden Hathcock from Cascade. He is a junior. And rounding it out, right-hander Easton Byers from Huntington. Got to see him pitch against White House Heritage in the state tournament as well. Really good right-hander. He is a senior that rounds out the 2A list.
Good 2A list. I will admit, though, man, I know they had a down season, but it's just jarring to not see any Loretto players on that list. They dealt with some injuries this year. They dealt with a lengthy state championship basketball run. A worthy 2A list, but it did catch me just off guard. I'm used to seeing them stacked on that list, but not represented this year. But a great 2A squad.
And to echo that, White House Heritage made it to the Final Four, and not to see a Patriot on that list is really surprising as well.
Yeah, it makes it tough, man. There's so many good players, only so many spots to squeeze them in. But congrats to our 2A players. Rolling in catchers are from James Lawson in Greenville. That's Houston Hargrove and Noah Murray. They are both seniors. Infielders are Carson Quillen from Greenville, Andrew Fulmer from Tullahoma. Noah Lyons is a junior from Fulton. Tommy Baker, a South Gibson junior, and Colby Jones from Unicoi County, also a junior. We do get a little Lawrence County flavor as outfielder Alex Bedford, who's a senior, earns a nod there. Also, you got junior Elijah Miller from Seymour, Tyler Eds from Union County, senior there, and Jack Barkaloo, a Red Bank senior. A couple of utility players for the Wildcats there, and junior from Greenville, Will Harmon, is your second utility player there. Pitching staff at the 3A level, you got Garrett Kiter, a sophomore from Claiborne. Cade Allen is a junior from South Gibson. Gavin French from Heritage High School, a sophomore. Mason Bratcher, a senior from Tullahoma. Will Price, a senior from Gibbs. Cooper Poe, a senior from Soddy Daisy. And Kobe Johnson from Seymour. He's a senior that rounds out your 3A pitching staff and rounds out your 3A list in general.
The Class 4A that saw Farragut repeat once again in Dogpile in Murfreesboro. 2 catcher spots, Corbin Reynolds, the Vanderbilt commit, the senior from Clarksville High School, Parker Free, Oak Ridge, sophomore. Infielders, we might hear this guy's name called here in a couple weeks. If then will be drafted Ryan Mitchell, the lefty hitting power guy from Houston. He is a senior. His teammate Colin Bland, also on the list, he's a junior. I believe he's committed to Vanderbilt as well. Infielder Jackson Jones from Hardin Valley, he is a senior. Liam Goodhart from Riverdale, he's a junior. Nate Stutes from Science Hill, also a junior. That rounds out the infielders on the Class 4A list. Stephen Bobo, Shelbyville Central, a sophomore. Warren East, Oak Ridge, sophomore as well. Lucas Dye from Science Hill, he's a senior. Jack Wyatt, right-handed outfielder from Clarksville High, the state runner-ups. Utility players, Kentucky football commit, lefty hitter, right-handed pitcher. He can do it all. Swiss Army knife for Beach Bucks. It is junior Caden Powell. Drew Wood, Udawa Senior rounds out the 2 utility spots. And the pitchers, Brody Carr, Jefferson County, he's a junior. Michael Teasley, junior from Oak Ridge. Pitcher Ari Bethea, Collierville Senior. Ryan Russell, the junior from Siegel High School. Titus Torbett, senior from Walker Valley. Cole Draper, senior from the state champion Farragut Admirals, and Cam Hayworth, the Dobbins Bennett Jr., rounds out the pitchers on the Class 4A list.
Really good list across 4A there, which means now we get into the Division II ranks. We'll start with Division 2A. Senior from Lakeway Christian, these are your 2 catchers, Davis Peralta and Tyne Bowman, who's also a senior from Providence Academy. Across the infield, Tyler Bennett, Gunnar Skelton, Banks Addison, Christian Doty, and Ronaldo Mati. Those are from Christian Academy of Knoxville, Columbia Academy, Evangelical Christian, Lausanne, and Providence Academy accordingly there. Outfielders, Bryson Allen, a junior from Lakeway Christian. Jaden Pearl is a sophomore at BGA. Brennan Gibson goes to Clarksville Academy. He was a senior this year, as well as Goodpasture senior Rylan Moses. Utility players from Evangelical Christian, senior Kylie Mabey. It was utility player Josh Owens, also a senior from Providence Academy. On to our pitchers at the Division 2A level. It was senior Clarksville Academy standout Evan Leonard, Brody Waller from Christian Academy of Knoxville. He's a junior. Senior from Columbia Academy, Jackson Lee, one of those standout Bulldogs we mentioned a moment ago. And KL Farr from North Point Christian is also a senior. Final 3 selections at the Division 2A level are Aiden Sproles, Ryan Edwards, and Ian McCord. They attend Providence Academy, Webb Bell Buckle, and Davidson Academy in order there. Good list at the Division 2A level. Man, there was some really good baseball played at that division in particular, as we mentioned, Columbia Academy getting a back-to-back championship by the end.
Rounding it out on the Tennessee Sports Writers Association All-State Baseball Team, Division II AA, which saw Lipscomb Academy come back out of the losers bracket and defeat middle region rival CPA in a 2-game sweep at Reese Smith Jr. Field at MTSU. So Lipscomb Academy and the Mustangs are state champs at a Division II AA. Your two catchers are Blake Lundy and Will Brick. Both of those are sophomore catchers from Baylor School and Christian Brothers, respectively. On the infielders, Jack Dugan from Lipscomb Academy. He's a junior. Gabe Boyd, a senior shortstop at Christian Brothers. Nash Stark, a junior from the state champion Lipscomb Academy Mustangs. Alex Dittmore from Knoxville Catholic. He is a senior. And Hudson Chance, a senior from Christ Presbyterian Academy, a.k.a. CPA. Outfielders, DJ Lowry, sophomore from Knoxville Catholic. Madden Williams, a senior from here in Nashville, Lipscomb Academy. His teammate Bo Strickland, also on the list, a senior at Lipscomb Academy as well. Roman Agbanaro, hopefully I got that right, sophomore outfielder from CPA. Brock Bedingfield, a senior from CPA as well. He gets the first utility spot. Reagan McCluskey from CPA, a senior, also gets the utility spot as well. Bunch of good pitchers here to round out this list. Finn Waters from Bright Crest, a junior as well. Corbin Crosby from Lipscomb Academy. He's a senior. Lance Bryan, senior from Briarcrest Christian. Matt Dill, the junior from Baylor School. Eli Dickey, the son of MLB great R.A. Dickey, CPA junior. And then Connor Hamilton, the senior from MBA.
Man, a lot of good players on those lists. Worthy all-state selections. There were a couple that were tough luck omissions, unfortunately. But I think we got a good group. And, man, David, when you just went through those Division II AA selections, there were a lot of Lipscomb Academy players. There were a lot of CPA players, and for good measure. I mean, those were your two finalists, but those were two powerhouse teams with Lipscomb Academy winning the championship. And it kind of just speaks, this whole list, or all of these lists collectively, I guess, kind of speaks to the level. We've talked about it a lot, Mo and myself and other guests along the way. The quality of baseball in this state at the prep level is really top-notch. I don't know, we could argue, where it maybe ranks nationally, but to me, it's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Wade. When you look at the Division II AA list, you look at the Class 4A teams, even the Division II Single A teams, all those players that are committed to go to high-level college programs. You look at the guys going to Vanderbilt, the guys locally going to Tennessee. It seems like the talent in the mid-state and across the state overall just continues to improve, and you get those big names. I feel like, when I played 8-9 years ago, we didn't have nearly the amount of commits across the state that were going to high-level Division I programs that we do now, and that just speaks to the influx of talent that continues to grow here in the mid-state and across the state overall.
Absolutely. Reminder, folks, on virtually any Main Street media platform, whether you're talking about the Pulaski Citizen or the Dixon Post, Main Street Preps, Main Street Nashville, really all across our entities, you can find these lists. And David, we're just kind of really scratching the surface here. There's going to be a few more all-state selections announced in the next couple of days.
Right, we're going to have softball coming up here in the next couple of days. I think boys soccer will hit the airwaves and the computer screens tomorrow. You also have track and field coming up as well. So all the spring sports that the TLSA offers, I believe that the Tennessee Sports Writers Association, we have that. And Wade, you're a member, I'm a member as well. We help nominate and get those lists together. It's something that really rewards the kids. It's something that we enjoy doing as well. And also, hey, it fills content during the summer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can find these lists online, but we know that some folks weren't able to get that pulled up until this afternoon. So if you're hearing those for the first time and you're one of those players, congratulations. If you're a fan or a proud mama or papa or grandma or granddaddy, congratulations as well. But we wanted to make sure we bring those lists, and we will try and squeeze in a couple more as the week continues. Congrats to all of our winners. And again, we will go through the rest of our all-state selections as the week progresses. But for now, we will kick it to our second break of the afternoon. When we come back, we will celebrate this day in Braves history. I got a bonus this day in MLB history nugget for you guys. And we'll also talk about the Braves who continue to master the Mets and what that means for tonight's game, as they got a big right-hander going on the mound for the Bravos there. All of that and much, much more. It's MLB Talk rolling right into our next segment here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia.
If you want the latest in weather conditions, be sure to tune in to our Busy Bee Plumbing weather report each weekday on Mornings on Main Street. Brought to you, of course, by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. We will keep you updated on the latest conditions outside, like severe weather, heat, snow, rain, and even hail.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today.
Hey, let's go Stros.
People are amazed at the variety and quality of guests we bring into Main Street Sports today. But when you've been in this business for nearly 40 years and you never throw away a phone number, it's pretty easy. Right, Wade?
Absolutely.
And Wynn agrees with me.
Check out some of our guests featured on Main Street Sports today.
Step back and catch my breath.
But I expect nothing less from you, big boy. Let's get to it.
We make it work pretty good. So
the fans are tremendous. It's fantastic.
It was really amazing.
Performance shoot. Yeah.
From preps to pros, you never know who's going to stop by, so be sure to listen to and watch Main Street Sports today from 2 to 4 p.m. daily on the MSM TV app.
On June 24th, 1996, Ron Gant homers on the first pitch, and the Cardinals go on to beat the Braves 9-2. That ended John Smoltz's 14-game win streak. Brian Jordan drove in 6 that afternoon for St. Louis. John Smoltz, if my sources are correct, would never go on to defeat the Cardinals, having not beat them since 1992. That was this day in Braves history. Wade Neely sitting in the saddle alongside David Wilson. I'm going to have to go back and double check that. I pulled that from an official This Day in Braves history source. But I got a hard time believing, David, that John Smoltz, number one, would lose a 14-game win streak versus the Cardinals, and Ron Gant kind of being the guy that did him in. But also, I got a hard time believing he wouldn't have beaten the Cardinals at least once since 1992.
Yeah, we're going to have to verify that. Ron Gant, really, really good Braves player in the early 90s. Key member of that 91 World Series team that played up against the Twins. Ron Gant was a sneaky, really good Braves player in Braves history that doesn't get talked about enough. So, little Braves on Braves crime right there.
Yeah, and I'm not going to lie. When I pulled that from the Braves blog sources this afternoon, I saw the first words, Ron Gant, and I said, oh, man, I'm running this no matter what. I thought it was a positive this day in Braves history, but you're right. It was Braves on Braves crime right there. So I kind of maybe wish I had pulled a different one. But the fact remains, very slept on. One of my all-time favorites as a kid growing up. Loved watching him play. I promised you guys a bonus this day in baseball history, just because this stat blew my mind, David. On this date in 1947, Jackie Robinson steals home for the first time in his major league career as the Dodgers win 4-2 over the Pirates. Robinson, however, went on to steal home 19 times in his career. And I might have to load up StatMuse and see if I can find out what the numbers look like historically. But I have 19 times stealing home. That just seems like an astronomically high number to me.
Probably one of the greatest base stealers of all time outside of probably Ricky Henderson. But, I mean, anything that you can throw into Jackie Robinson on there is pretty special and cool.
Turns out, all right, you mentioned the great one's name, Ricky Henderson, according to Google, stole home 4 times during his Major League Baseball career. He is the all-time leader, but he was not a noted home.
It's hard to do, really hard to do.
Babe Ruth
have to find a really slow pitcher.
You got to find a slow pitcher. You got to have good timing. You got to obviously be on third. Lou Brock never stole home once. Ricky Henderson, again, 4 times. Babe Ruth, I love this. When you go back, kind of like our Braves history yesterday, you go back to the olden times, Babe Ruth, quote unquote, reportedly did it 10 times.
I don't believe that. I thought he was a big fellow.
I was going to say you might be able to walk home back then, not so much as stealing home with some of those windups, but so some historical trips down memory lane there. We don't have to go back too far down the historical venues, however, David, to talk about the last time the Braves beat the Mets. That was last night. They took care of business yet again. They own these guys this season. Swept them last week, 2 weeks ago, and then now got a nice victory on the road to open up that series last night.
Yeah, it just seems like the Braves, big brother for the Mets. Excuse me as I dropped my microphone. Sorry about that. It seems like they're the big brother of the Mets, and it seems like they've owned their number over the last several years. Forgive this stat. I don't think it's absolutely correct, but I think I saw it. I think the Braves have won 27 of their last 37 against the Mets. You can double-check me on that. But it just seems like the Braves always seem to find a way to win against the Mets, especially in these kind of games that they need to have. Spencer Schwellenbach, as I kind of mentioned yesterday, had pitched 4 times against the Mets going into last night, had gone 7 innings at least, all 4 times, and he did it again last night, kept them in the ball game. The only blunder he had was a 2-run home run to Juan Soto in the 7th inning, I believe. So, the Braves offensively left a lot of runners on scoring position yesterday. They still found a way to win the game because Dylan Lee came in and shut the door in a really big situation against Juan Soto, came back out in the 9th, hammered down the save. So take game 1 of the series, which leads you into tonight. Spencer Strider on the mound for the Bravos as they look to give a rude awakening back to Frankie Montas, who comes off the injured list for the Mets tonight, who have really struggled with their pitching staff over the last couple of weeks. And offensively, the Mets are really struggling to find score some runs as well.
Yeah, David, 2 ways to look at this, I guess. Number one, any win is a good win for the Braves, especially versus one of the teams that they're chasing. But, man, the Mets are not playing great baseball right now, and the Braves have to cash in on any opportunities they get. So it's kind of perfect timing in the sense that the Mets are absolutely tanking, but the Braves may not be playing their best. It was a 1-run game, and tonight will bring, a whole new ball game. But the fact you were better than them on that night, and kind of slowly, if you can, I'm holding the belief, if you can just put a little pressure on them and the Phillies and make it potentially a 3-team, some sort of race down the stretch, who knows what can happen.
Right, absolutely. We kind of talked about this yesterday with Chris Domino, so check that out if you're still looking for a really good interview that we did yesterday. Chris kind of mentioned how every one of these series, every one of these games now is the most important on the Braves schedule. And the way, looking at this a week ago, the way that the Braves schedule shaped up, they faced the Mets 3 times at home, went on the road to face the Marlins 3 times, and now have a 4-game set in New York, followed by a 3-game set against the Phillies back at Truist Park in Atlanta. So the way that this portion of the schedule worked out, if you knew the Braves could just find a way to get hot, they could try to inch their way back, and not only into the wild card race, but in the NL East race as well, which they still sit about 10.5 games out of first place. So there's some room, and there's some, I guess some leapfrogging that the Braves can do over the next week and a half if they start to find a way to play their best baseball. Looks like he's a little frozen. Get back into it. But hey, as I mentioned, pitching matchup for tonight out in Flushing, Queens, as the Braves take on the Mets at Citi Field.
David, are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I got you.
Okay. Don't know what's going on here in Pulaski, but PES Internet up to its old tricks a little bit here. So hopefully they can guide us through for the next little bit. But you were kind of breaking things down there. And, you know, we're looking at this through a Braves prism. But, man, if you're looking at it the other way, what in the world is going on with the Mets, who are in absolute free fall mode? A couple of weeks ago, it looked like they might run away with this division that features a really good and playing great Philadelphia team, a very talented but not playing great Atlanta team. But the Mets are in absolute free fall mode right now, David Wilson.
It seems like the bottom half of their offensive lineup is not producing whatsoever. And when there's nobody on base to roll over for Francisco Lindor, Jeff McNeil, Brandon Nimmo, for Pete Alonso, you have to have guys get on base at the bottom of the order. You know, they've sent down Francisco Alvarez to AAA, their catcher, who's probably going to have to, be a big part of their offensive output. They're still missing Mark Vientos, who's still missing some time out in AAA with an injury. They sent down Ronald Acuna's little brother, Luis Angel Acuna, just a couple days ago. So it seems like they're still searching for some key pieces and some key spots. Obviously, third base is an issue that they're going to have to address. Catcher is something that they're going to have to get as well. And then their starting pitching has really been banged up. Obviously, Kodai Senga is on the injured list as well. They're going to get Frankie Montas back tonight. They're still missing Sean Manaea as well, who made a rehab start last night, I believe. So, or excuse me, 2 nights ago, or last week. The last time minor league baseball played, I believe, was on Sunday. So they're still missing some pitching as well. So it's just kind of a perfect storm where they faced a couple teams that have been their bugaboo, and also not being healthy doesn't help them either.
No, it certainly doesn't. David Wilson bringing a Braves update, giving us a update on the Mets, the Astros, my beloved team. They will get it on versus those Philadelphia Phillies. That'll be interesting. The fact that we have Astros, Phillies, Braves, Mets kind of going on. The next couple of days, I'll be curious to see kind of what the NL East looks like after those series come to their conclusion. David, we got a couple minutes before the top of the hour, and Mo and I have kind of done this a time or two. We mentioned Blade Tidwell from Loretto, who got to start a couple nights ago on Sunday Night Baseball for the Mets. We've talked about Ryan Weathers and, his ups and downs this year for the Marlins. But while I had you this week, I kind of wanted to tap in. What kind of updates do you have? You have so many we just ran through all those great schools and great teams that you get the chance to cover on the All-State baseball selections a moment ago. You got any updates on what some of your previous guys are doing at the minor league level? Because I know you got a few.
Right, absolutely. These are Robertson County natives from my time in Robertson County as the sports editor for the Robertson County Connection that I've come across over the last couple of years. Got a chance to play against these guys in Luke Murphy. Got to play with Brendan Jones. So we'll update a couple Robertson County guys, and then we'll kind of dip down into the mid-state with some good pasture boys that I went to school with. So we'll get in that. We'll start with Luke Murphy. Obviously, a Vanderbilt legend, won College World Series with the Commodores back in 2019, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Nashville native, went to East Robertson, a 4th-round pick of the Los Angeles Angels in the 2021 draft. 110th pick, went to Vanderbilt, as I mentioned. He's on the developmental list for the Los Angeles Angels AAA affiliate, the Salt Lake Bees. He has an 0-1 record this year with a 12.05 ERA. 15 games pitched, 21 and 2/3 innings, and 24 strikeouts. I mentioned Brendan Jones. He's a Greenbrier native, was a draft pick last year by the New York Yankees, the 12th round, 361 overall, went to Kansas State, had a really good career out in Manhattan, went to good pasture as well. He's on the Double-A of the New York Yankees, the Somerset Patriots. He is batting .237 this year with 5 home runs and 35 RBIs. Really just got called up 2 weeks ago to Somerset after having a really good start at Single A in Hudson Valley for the Yankees as well. Another good pasture boy is Jaron Elkins. He's in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. He's in the Single A affiliate of the Dodgers, the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes. What a great name.
Yeah.
2023 draft pick, 8th round, 150th overall, as I mentioned, out of good pasture. He is batting 274 this season with 6 home runs and 39 RBRs. Already 42 stolen bases, Wade. So a lot of speed and a lot of tools out of Jaron. Just 20 years old. So look for him to continue to skyrocket up the Los Angeles Dodgers, who do a great job of developmenting players as well. Then Carson Rucker, his teammate at Good Pasture, who was from the Robertson County area, from the White House area, I believe. He was a 4th round pick of the Detroit Tigers in 2023, 107th pick overall. He's been battling some injuries during his early professional career. He's on the single A affiliate of the Tigers right now, the Lakeland Flying Tigers. He's batting 188 this year with 35 hits and 186 plate appearances so far. So that's some update on the guys that I've kept up with a little bit from the mid-states. Some guys I played against, so that makes me feel old and not athletic when I kind of reel off those guys and how well they're doing in the professional baseball.
Well, man, that's a great list. There's a ton of talent, as we mentioned, in the mid-state. Down here in the southern end, I am broadcasting from Pulaski today. Final week here in Pulaski at this humble abode. But I got to give a shout-out real quick to Ben Peoples. We talked about him a number of times, Mo and I have. He's a hard-throwing right-hander that's part of the AAA affiliate for the Rays now, kind of grinding his way up the ranks. He was in Montgomery last year with the Biscuits. Now he's over in Durham with the Bulls. He is in that weird spot, David, because I don't want to say this, I got to be careful how I say this. I don't want to wish any injury on anybody, but he's an injury away at the big league level from getting called up out of the bullpen. Ben, so far this season, 26 appearances. That's about 25 and 2/3 innings so far. Only given up 20 hits, only surrendered 9 earned runs, and he struck out 28 batters. So he's averaging over a strikeout an inning. He's pitching very well. And Ben, again, he might merit a call-up at some point in his own right, especially as the Rays kind of maybe make their move in the East and in the AL standings, kind of getting closer and closer to playoff contention there. But an injury certainly could fast-track him because he is a hard-throwing right-hander. So shout-out to Ben Peoples and shout-out to everybody that David just mentioned. And, you know, I'm kind of with you, Dave. When you go through, I don't feel old on my birthday. I don't feel old when people ask how old I am. But when somebody says, hey, here's my son, or, you know, here's my daughter, and they're playing Little League, or, you know, they're now in high school, and I think back, and I'm like, okay, that's when I officially feel old. So that's kind of what you just said kind of strikes with me a little bit there.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Luke Murphy has been playing professional baseball forever. He's a wily veteran now, and that he's someone that's my age. I guess 26 is the new old. And when you're in minor league baseball, really hoping that he gets a shot. You know, a guy that, as I mentioned, pitched phenomenally at Vanderbilt. You know, and it's past due. You know, the Angels organization, it seems like it could warrant some pitching help at the big league level. So I'd love to see Luke Murphy make an appearance at the big leagues. Important to note tonight, Wade, I know Blaine would kick us in the butt if we didn't mention this. Former Station Camp and Beach and University of Tennessee right-hander Chase Burns making his MLB debut tonight against the New York Yankees out at Great American Ballpark, or as I like to say, Great American Small Park, as the Reds host the New York Yankees. So Chase Burns, former Sumner County native who went to Beach, went to Station Camp, and obviously went on to the University of Tennessee and to Wake Forest. Taking on Aaron Judge, what are your thoughts if you had to square off with Aaron Judge in your MLB debut?
I mean, you know, you can look at that two ways, right? You can look at it and say, oh, my gosh, I'm facing the Yankees. Oh, my gosh, it's Aaron Judge. On the other hand, you could say, give me the ball. This is who I want to go up against. I want to challenge myself against the best of the best, kind of at their best. And so that'll be a fascinating matchup. One thing, though, that does have me concerned, you mentioned the ballpark factor that's at play there. But, man, I just looked it up. It's 94 degrees and sunny in Cincinnati right now. So not exactly pitcher-friendly conditions, shall we say. But best of luck to Mr. Burns going against Rodon there for the Yankees. That'll be a fun matchup. The Reds, we just talked about them yesterday, been playing pretty decent baseball. So maybe they can make a little second-half surge here. And best of luck to Chase in his debut tonight. That brings us to the top of our 3 o'clock hour, and that means it is time to kick off hour number 2. We'll take a quick break. On the other side, of this Top 5 Tuesday. We will be joined by the Blue Raider voice, our good friend Chip Walters will be on the other side with us here. So stick around, folks. Hour number 2 of MS Sports Today comes your way right after this, presented by TOA of Columbia.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy at zioneagles.org or 931-388-7531. You can schedule your appointment to visit their beautiful campus. Again, zioneagles.org or 931-7531 to schedule your visit today. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with Riverstone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe the measure of any person or company is how you treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStoneHandlers.com.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We are rolling, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 of Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Gets underway right now alongside David Wilson. Wade Neely saying hello. Mo is out on vacation. He will return next week. But per tradition, and after he bailed me out a little bit last week, we welcome in our good friend. He joins us for his weekly appearance. He is the one, the only. He is the Blue Raider voice. At Choose Chip on Twitter. He is Chip Walters. Good afternoon, Chip.
How you doing, Wade?
We are good. We're glad that you are here. We're glad that you're well. And big
here, look at here.
Ed's big adventure, man. That is everything I had hoped and dreamed, and then some, partner.
How about that? Local artist had these up on Facebook, and thought that's kind of cute. So I had to do a little repping today.
I understand, and props to the local artist who made that happen. And I should have known that you would have had something kind of unique, and also showing a little local flair too. I love the connection there.
Good deal. Good. Well, did you hear that while you were gone, we broke the internet one day and could not go on the air?
I didn't necessarily hear that. I feel like I would have heard about an internet breakage, but tell me more.
It was. I think it was. Mark what day was it, Mark? Was it when Google Web Services was down? I guess that was on like Thursday, the first, not last, whatever that first Thursday was.
Thursday, Mark says.
Yeah, we couldn't go on the air because just StreamYard was down and all of that. But we had a good time in your absence and had some fun. So yeah, and I'm glad to know that you announced that Mo is on vacation instead of on assignment. So we're getting full disclosure here. So
he's blurring the lines though, Chip. He does this. He's out. He's having fun, but he's also working too. I'm like, hey, big fella, you can't be working on vacation. We only get so many of those a year, you need to take that time and enjoy it. But you know how he is. He likes to stay tuned and stay tapped in.
That's right.
Real
And
quick,
I've got one coming up in about 3 weeks, so just letting you know.
Well,
So,
we will make plans for your absence accordingly. Real quick though, do you have the artist information handy? We want to shout them out if possible.
oh my goodness, I will find that here shortly. And she's it's a female. She has a stage name, and in that she goes by Bug, I think. I'll try. Bug St. Paul. How about that?
Okay.
Bug and then STPAUL, and she has. You can find her on Facebook, I think, and
I see it now.
Okay, good deal. You found it. You're pretty quick with it, so there you go.
Hey, like you said, when Google's working, it's a good thing. So
that's correct.
Yeah. Talking with Chip Walters, he is the Blue Raider voice. And Chip, again, thank you. I do want to give a shout out to the Blue Raider athletic department. I mean, literally, as we went to break, I got an email from the Alumni Association announcing that I'm cordially invited. I feel like a lot of people are cordially invited, not just me. But I digress. It feels like we're cordially invited to the grand opening of the Student Athlete Performance Center. Tell us more details on that about the email that I just got during this last break.
Well, that's going to happen on July 30th at 9 a.m. And the Student Athlete Performance Center, it just got cleared last week, 10 days ago, that the Board of Trustees has announced that it will be known as the Stephen and Denise Smith Student Athlete Performance Center. And Steve Smith, who not only is he a member of the Blue Raider Hall of Fame and the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, he is the chairman of the Board of Trustees at MTSU and has been a benefactor. He and his family have been benefactors for many, many years, and it's quite appropriate that his name gets put on it. His father's name is on the baseball field, Reese Smith Field, and his name has previously been on the baseball clubhouse, but there is a state law, or I don't know if it's a state law or an MTSU rule, that you can only have your name on one building. So his name will be coming off the baseball clubhouse building, but it will be going on along with his lovely wife, Denise, and it will be going on the Student Athlete Performance Center. And this building, Wade, it's the centerpiece of phase one of the Build Blue project that we've been talking about for a couple of years. The construction project it's been about 2 years since they broke ground on it. We're winding it up. Matter of fact, furniture is being moved in. Lockers are already in. This building is about 86,000 square feet of space that will, number one, be the home for Blue Raider football, coaches' offices, meeting rooms, locker rooms, that kind of thing. But it will also be the home of strength and conditioning, nutrition, athletic training for all athletes in all 17 sports. And in addition to that area, you're going to have the ability for the top floor to be that'll be areas for the public on game days. It'll be used for team meals. It'll be used for a lot of different things. So that is going to be kind of one of the faces of the building, is that top floor where you have the SRM Concrete Club that'll be used on game days, which will house inside the SRM Concrete Club will be the Uncle Nearest Sports Bar. And so that's all part of a big area where you can now purchase premium seating and all of that. But that'll happen on June 30th at 9 a.m., the ribbon cutting. And as we mentioned, this is phase one. The next phase two, will be a very substantial renovation inside Murphy Center that will include a new main entrance. There'll be a lot of infrastructure that'll be updated after 52 years that needs it. So there will be some investment in a building that has given back for a long time. So that's what's going to be happening on July 30th. Is there will be an open house after the ribbon cutting, so people can kind of wander through the building. But it's an opportunity to get this building open. The goal has always been to get it open before fall camp in football and volleyball and soccer, which they're going to be able to do.
Chip, real quick, I want to ask one quick one before I turn it over to David here. Talking with a guy at the gym earlier this week who's on the construction team at the new Nissan Stadium, and he kind of painted this picture that you have these plans, you have these blueprints, and then an administrator, an owner, or a committee member right at the 11th hour kind of says, that maybe should look a little different, or that needs to be different. Is this thing pretty finalized, or are we just missing a few key things?
Yeah, it's pretty finalized. I mean, you're down to putting names on doors, things like that. I mean, you're down to that. Like I said, lockers are in. You're going to be moving in weight equipment here in the next couple of weeks, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there was a lot of moving parts up until probably about 6 months ago, and this building, as Chris Massaro mentioned, it had the original vision of the football part of it, came from Coach Stockstill. And the good thing is that when Coach Mason came in, obviously he knew this project was going on, and that was, I don't know, 8-10 months into the construction project, and he was able to have his input. And the good thing is not a whole lot changed. Of course, there are a few tweaks here and there that he wanted and was able to get because of where they were in that construction project. But you've basically had two different football staffs who put their footprint and handprints on this building from a football standpoint, which kind of tells me it's going to stand up to what is needed in this era of college football that we're in right now. But again, it's not the Stephen Denise Smith football building. It is the student athlete performance building, which tells you that it's going to support nearly 400 student athletes over 17 sports across the way. And I think once that building opens, then that's when other dominoes start to fall. Like when football moves out of Murphy Center, that frees up space upstairs in the office area where the football coaches were. Well, that allows marketing, who's been kind of an outpost, lets them move back into the building. A lot of stuff like that. Then you've got equipment that's going to move out of Murphy Center. Football locker room moves out of Murphy Center, which that allows men's basketball then to expand. So there's this was the linchpin that needed to happen before other things could happen in other facilities. So there's a weight room right now that's in a dance studio that's in a cramped space, just because of what they had to do. Well, the weight room in the new SAPC is going to be about 4 times larger than the old weight room, and probably about 10 times larger than the space that they're using right now. And that's going to make life a lot easier for all student athletes, again, because they'll be able to service more people at any given time and get them through there more efficiently. So a lot of good I mean, this thing is going to have everything from, nutrition bars to red light therapy areas, a lot of stuff. It's not going to have water slides and barber shops like the one at Clemson does, but it's all about, servicing and making life better for the student athletes. And that's what this building is going to do. And it's the biggest construction project in athletics in 25 plus years. And so they wanted to make sure they've gotten it right. And this thing, I think, is going to be pretty special.
Yep, there's a lot of great things, as you mentioned, going on campus right now. Yesterday, you guys started the Blue Raider Blitz that's going to span across the Mid-State. Started in Murfreesboro yesterday. It's going to make its way to Bridgestone Arena tonight. Tonight, I think at 5:30, I believe. So just kind of tell us more about that event and why is it so important to MTSU athletics.
Well, it's just an opportunity to get out and for our coaches and administrators to meet with fans and in an intimate setting. Like yesterday, we were at the Fountains at Gateway, which is a really super event space area. Had a packed house there, standing room only. Tonight we're going to be at inside Bridgestone Arena. There's an area called the Smashville Meeting Room, and the one in Nashville is always a little bit different because it's kind of built as a fan / media event. Our pal Joe Dubin and Chris Childers are going to be there as part of a media panel, along with Coach Mason, Coach McDevitt, Coach Insel, Chris Massaro, which, by the way, just to kind of put a bug in your ear, we need to get Chris Massaro on this show at some point. We tried to get him when you were gone, but he was on vacation, and he is on the college football playoff selection committee now. So he is he's going to be a very interesting guest as you go through college football season. But there, it turns into a bit of a press conference, media availability for the local TV stations, things like that, because sometimes, if Muhammad doesn't come to the mountain, you have to bring the mountain to Muhammad. And that's kind of what we're doing is putting a little show on the road. Tonight in Nashville. Tomorrow we'll be at lunchtime. We'll be in Tullahoma over at the Ascend Federal Credit Union headquarters there by the Tullahoma Airport. Tomorrow evening we'll be in Shelbyville at the Blue Ribbon Circle Club at the Celebration Grounds. And then we'll wind up on Thursday at lunchtime at the Smyrna Event Center for a great lunch. And we'll that stop on the Blitz will be part of the Smyrna Rotary Club. Will be hosted by the Smyrna Rotary Club there. So in the first 100 people that show up on Thursday for lunch, you get a great meat and three kind of buffet lunch at the Smyrna Event Center, and they can throw it down there in Smyrna. So come on out. You don't have to have reservations. Just the first 100 that show up get lunch on the house on Blue Raider Athletics. But if you're number 101, you got to pay for your lunch. That's the worst penalty you got.
It's not a bad fallback.
A good one. Yeah, that's not a bad fallback, but it's just an opportunity. And the thing is, all of the coaches speak, and yesterday I introduced Derek Mason and just got out of the way, and he went freestyling for about 15-20 minutes and had folks fired up, and then we had a little Q&A session after that. And then once it breaks up, there's inevitably folks who may not want to ask a question in front of the whole crowd, but there's a lot of one-on-one time and things like that. So we're looking forward to tonight, and it's something that's become kind of a mid-state tradition. We got to get back over in the Dimple. We hadn't been over there in a few years. Maybe we need to get up to Lebanon here before in the next year or so. Just kind of move the chess pieces around a little bit.
Yeah, you guys do such a great job with that event, and I love what you just said. You kind of basically can hand the mic to D. Mason, just kind of watch him go to work. I saw a clip. He was talking about the fans kind of getting involved and trying to fill Floyd. And I could tell just in the 10 seconds of the clip that I watched that there was no script. He was speaking – speak from the hip, shoot from the hip, speak from the heart is kind of what I feel like his approach is. And that to me is what's so exciting about his possibilities as the head coach going into year 2.
I think so. And, the big takeaway I had yesterday was that a year ago today, he was still drinking out of a fire hose.
Yeah.
And whether it was from a roster management standpoint, and we've talked a lot about how last year's high school recruiting class differs from this year's recruiting class. And, whether they had, last year's recruiting class, they didn't have time to go in any homes before they ever signed people. This year, every high school player they've signed, they've been in their homes. So they have, the relationship building and all of that has been there. And, and I think they've gotten through it. His phrase was, he goes, my head's not spinning this year. So, he has, I think, a clear vision of, number one, what the league is like, where we are within that league, and what it's going to take to go where we want to go. Now, the other thing that I think I'm not going to say it took people back a little bit, but it certainly got their attention, was that he said that in the first meeting with the players when they came in around the 1st of June, he said, I only showed them one thing on the screen. He goes, that was the Conference USA Championship trophy. He goes, that's the only thing I showed them on the screen. So obviously we know that they have one stated goal that's out there. And I think, getting there obviously has had to do, that's been a big part of the roster overhaul that they have gone through. And one thing about it, and he will tell you straight up that, I was really impressed. He did not disown last season at all. He goes, hey, we were a 3-9 football team.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's on us. He goes, now we've got to do all the right things football wise. We're getting there. Now we're doing things in the community. And I think we've talked about this a little bit, how they've, at the Saturday morning farmers market, there are football players out there every Saturday morning, working in some of the booths with some of the vendors, and learned yesterday that there are 3 offensive linemen who have an LLC, and they're now selling their own brand of peanut butter at the it's called Blindside Butter.
Wow.
And it's they're selling their own brand of peanut butter. So, that's all part of the life lessons that go along with what goes on in between the lines, and part of the whole person aspect of this. So that's kind of a long rambling answer, but I'm looking forward to kind of, again, doing the same thing tonight, is introducing Reverend Mason, and let him go with it.
Yeah, just let him riff, and like you said, get out of the way. We're talking with Chip Walters, who's the Blue Raider voice. We're talking all things MTSU. You can follow Chip on Twitter @ChooseChip. Chip, we mentioned Blue Raider Blitz. I got a text yesterday from good friend, and I mean rabid MTSU fan, Tim Wilson, who's part of the sport management staff up there at MTSU. And he sent me a text. He said, I have good news. He said, I don't know if it's public yet, but at Blue Raider Blitz today, they just announced Michigan is, or your beloved Blue Raiders are taking on your beloved Michigan Wolverines. I said, that's pretty awesome. Give me more. He gave me a little more details. He said, but wait, there's still more. Tell us there's still more. Yes, MTSU is going to play at Michigan in men's basketball, but they had 2 other big announcements yesterday.
Well, one has been out there a little bit, and that is the trip to the Cayman Islands. That's going to be, and I think we probably talked about that while you were gone, but Middle's going to be in a tournament on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th of November. That is the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday prior to Thanksgiving. And it is a 4-team event. It's not a tournament. It's a classic because the schedule's already set. It's Middle, Murray, McNeese, and George Washington. So 3 really good mid-major programs, and you'll play a round-robin schedule. And so that has been announced in the last couple of weeks. And then, of course, the University of Houston, who will probably be the preseason number 1 going into this season, let it out on their Twitter that Middle and Houston, the Cougs, will play in Houston. And I don't have the exact date. It's in between Christmas and New Year's. I think the 29th of December maybe. But Middle's going to play at Houston. And then yesterday, Coach McDevitt either let it out there or let it slip, one of the two. I'm not sure which, but that Middle will play in November at Michigan. Now, if you think about it, makes perfect sense because who's the head coach at Michigan? Dusty May. Where did Dusty May come from? FAU. And Dusty May and Nick McDevitt probably they were probably I would say Dusty May was probably his best friend in the league as far as other opposing coaches. And so it does not surprise me at all that whether Middle may, I don't know, I'll find out today who made the call, but whether Middle made a call asking if Michigan had an opening, or if Dusty called Nick and said, hey, we need a game in November. Are you guys available? And so that's a one-shot deal. Nick also did mention that there's some home and homes that will be continued. Belmont, Murray, obviously the Murray State thing is part of this year. I want to clarify here too, if we're going to play them again outside of this event, or if that's going to be just pushed back and play them as part of this. But also Evansville will be a road game. They had Evansville at home either last year or this past season or season before. So it's a very solid schedule for the men. The women, same thing. They're going to be playing at that same time. I told you the men were going to be in the Cayman Islands. The women are going to be in Destin. And that will be a 2-day event, Monday and Tuesday, the 24th and 25th of November. And they'll play Providence and probably Mississippi State in that event. Was looking there, and I had it pulled up a minute ago. Oh, there it is. It's at Middle, Providence, Mississippi State, and Alcorn State are in a pod, and we'll play. It'll be winners play winners, losers play losers. So the other pod has Nebraska, Virginia, Northwestern State, and Purdue Fort Wayne. The winners of each pod will not play each other, but that's going to be the Emerald Coast Classic, and it will be played at Northwest Florida there, which is just north of Destin. But for fans who, have those spots on 30A where they like to go, this is a great opportunity to go down and watch the Lady Raiders. And they're going to be travel packages, by the way, for the men's trip to the Cayman Islands. And if your family likes to take a Thanksgiving week trip, that'll be a good way to do that.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what I was talking with Tim yesterday. I was like, I don't know which of those three gets me the most excited. I'd love to go to Ann Arbor and see the guys. Obviously, I'd love to see them play the Cougs. But I'm looking at, for the record, folks, Southwest flies to the Cayman Islands from Nashville. So
yes, and just kind of a little inside baseball. Middle has a home football game against Sam Houston on Saturday the 22nd. Basketball team plays in the Caymans on Sunday the 23rd at 6:30 Central Time, 7:30 Eastern Time. So I am already looking at those Sunday morning flights. Southwest and American both have a Sunday morning flight that gets there around middle of the day, and then I'll be flying back with the team on Wednesday before we turn right back around and go to jump on the football charter on that Friday after Thanksgiving and head out to Las Cruces, New Mexico, to wind up the football season at New Mexico State. So that's going to be it's always a busy time right during Thanksgiving and the week before, and that'll be no different this year.
Absolutely. Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, breaking down all things MTSU. David, any final thoughts before we let Chip get out of here?
No, Wade, you took every single one of them. Single one of them, you took it.
I'm sorry. Chip's long-winded. I'm long-winded. We boxed you out a little bit, so I apologize there. But, Chip, thank you for joining us every Tuesday, except when you don't, of course. Thank you for repping Ed's Big Adventure, and thank you for shouting out Bud St. Paul. We will try and drop a link in the show notes there so folks can find that access. And thank you for filling in last week while I was venturing the Pacific Northwest, but I'm glad to be back and good to be with you. And we'll see you again next Tuesday.
All right. Talk to you guys. See you.
Thank you very much. Thanks to Chip Walters, the Blue Raider voice, MTSU, dropping knowledge. Dave, you really can just, we've done this segment where we had mic issues one day, and Mo and I just said, hey, Chip, just fill 15 minutes. You can just, like a top, you just wind him up and he can go. And he gives us the goods every week.
Right. You took the words right out of my mouth. You can just kind of wind him up and let him go. I was talking to Blaine Keller. I was like, man, I don't know what to ask Chip today. He said, oh, don't worry about it, Chip. He'll just talk and work his way through the segment. You don't really have to worry about it. It's like I came in with no notes. I knew about the Raider Blitz going to Bridgestone tonight. So that was my one question, and everything else, he just kind of came off the cuff and he was ready to go. He was prepared.
Yeah, he brings the goods each and every single week. We love Chip. We love our Blue Raiders segment with him each and every single Tuesday. And we love Top 5 Tuesday, which comes your way at the end of our show today. Still to come, we will get into the grab bag, but at that final segment, David and I will break down our top 5 chain restaurants. So we still got 2 good segments. We are making some final preparations, making the final cuts, and I'm continuing to look toward the fridge here at the humble abode. So stick around, folks. We will take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll get into the grab bag. We'll get you guys an update on a number of different things, including a heartfelt message from Tyrese Halliburton, straight from the horse's mouth. Tyrese gives us an update after his gruesome injury in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. All that and then some right after this timeout on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia.
Deep in a forest at Nashville Zoo, new creatures here for you to view. Phantoms graced in black and white swing high in trees of dappled light. In rocky crags, tall and steep, small antelopes with nimble feet. A wise old man with beard of white, a sentry perched on stony height. Amidst it all, a hunter lies, with coat of gold and steely eyes. A new adventure just for you. Leopard Forest at Nashville Zoo. Open now.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Hour number 2 of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, is rolling right along. We just had our segment with Chip Walters, the MTSU Blue Raider voice. And now we dip into the grab bag alongside David Wilson, Wade Neely saying hello, producer Mark Rogers making the magic happen behind the glass. And we start the grab bag with a little bit of an update, and we'll also kind of give you guys the schedule for the rest of the week. David, I'm going to ask you a simple question. Have you been paying attention to any of the FIFA Club World Cup these days?
I've not. I feel like you will be very much, as the soccer resident, will inform us all about what's going on.
Well, I hate to disappoint in that regard, I guess, because I have not been paying much attention to it at all other than, final results here and there. But the reason I mention that is because match number 2 of 3 that are set to be played at Geodis Park is going on as we speak. And Auckland City, which, man, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm assuming that is an Australian or New Zealand club. I can't speak to for sure, but they are playing Boca Juniors, which is one of the top Argentinian teams. That match is being played, and it's tied 1-1 in the second half. Looks like Auckland just tied it up. Boca Juniors scored first. The reason I mention any of that is because, number 1, they're playing at Geodis, but number 2, we tried to book Valer Shabila, our good friend from 615 Soccer, to join us on the show today. He said, I would love to join, but I'm going to be smack dab in the middle of covering this match. So we give Belair a little bit of a pass, but he's set to join us on tomorrow's program and kind of give us the goods as Nashville Soccer Club returns to action tomorrow night on the road. And then also he can give us a firsthand account of the Club World Cup that I've not been paying much attention to, but it is going on, and a couple of matches have been played already, including one today already at Geodis Park. So a little tiny update there. Speaking of, you know what? I'm going to save that for Wild and Wacky Wednesday. I got another Club World Cup story, but I'm going to save that for Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Sorry for the tease, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll do that. One thing that is wild and wacky, but one thing we do want to get into today. David, when's the last time we heard from Steve Spurrier, you think?
It's been a minute since we've heard from the old ball coach.
Been a while, right? And it feels like, even in his advanced age, he's kind of gotten a little, I don't want to say mature, because he's certainly obviously a mature head ball coach there, but it just feels like he's kind of just settled in and kind of just embraced being, the elder statesman now that he's not on the sidelines as much. But he's kind of got that dog in him deep down, and so we shouldn't be surprised that Spurrier has kind of got back into the headlines here. This story coming to us from Football Scoop, where he went on another duly noted podcast. That is the name of said podcast, another duly noted. But he had this simple comment, and David, it reminds me of vintage Spurrier when he says, quote, most people are picking Texas to win the SEC in football. They've got Arch Manning already winning the Heisman this year too. My question is, if he was this good, how come they let Quinn Ewers play all the time last year when he was a 7th-round pick? So, kind of Spurrier gonna Spurrier, throwing a little dig at Texas, kind of throwing a little shade at the Manning family, his old nemesis from back in the day. But in another way, kind of shining a light on how talented Texas was in terms of their quarterback room last year.
It was a question that came up a lot during last football season. Obviously, Quinn Ewers battled some injuries at various points in the year as well. Arch Manning comes in, proves he's more than capable to be the starting quarterback. For the Texas Longhorns, we saw packages even in the college football playoff where Arch would come in and use his legs in short yardage situations. So I can understand this question. If Arch Manning is going to be atop the Heisman favorite draft or the odds by the odds makers this year, is he a consensus first-round pick in the upcoming NFL draft? Why wasn't he the starter over Quinn Ewers? That's a valid question, I believe. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, when you phrase it like that, we know Quinn Ewers had his ups, had his downs. There was discussion of where he would project as a pro. Should he go pro? His career is going to be one to really be interesting and revisit in a couple of years, especially at the collegiate level. This is a guy that did a lot of great things. But, man, it was an awkward song and dance, And at times we wondered if Arch Manning should have got more snaps. Should he have not been played at all? Or, and this is coming from Spurrier, who was kind of the OG in regards to the two quarterback system back in the day. So I found this kind of fascinating. And now we kind of have this clearly defined role for Manning. A lot of folks obviously are kind of anointing him already as the, number one overall draft pick, perhaps, and also perhaps your Heisman winner. But for a guy that we really haven't seen do a ton, I kind of see Spurrier's point. Why have we not seen him more by now if he is this good? Or number two, is he that good, I guess, is Spurrier's question there.
Yep, I can understand that as well. To go back to your Quinn Ewers point, there have been multiple sources that confirm that there were many NIL packages from various different programs that offered him a lot of money to remain in college football and to transfer and be their starting quarterback, and he'll be well compensated. So I get that's the dilemma of college football now. You have all these high-profile quarterback recruits. They hop and jump around, trying to find their spot. And in this situation, Texas found themselves with probably two starting quarterbacks on their roster. One with the last name Manning, a very obviously prestigious quarterback family. That speaks for itself. We've been hearing about Arch since he was a freshman in high school in Louisiana. And so I don't see how Steve Sarkisian kind of dealt with the pressure that comes with just think about the NIL, the boosters that are saying, "Hey, let's put Arch in. Let's put Arch in," and for him to stick with Quinn Ewers, that's something for sure. So it's a fair question.
Fair question, and it's a fascinating situation that's now officially kind of done. In many regards, if you're a Texas fan or certainly a member of the coaching staff, you probably feel a little sense of relief now that you do kind of have this clear roadmap. Football Scoop also kind of painting this in a light that I had not really thought about or known, but it was the first, and because kind of where we are now in the NIL era, probably the last time we'll ever see this happen. But you had Ewers, who was a number 1 overall recruit, and Manning, a number 1 overall recruit. So, we're not talking about Ewers, who was a 3-star that just, had a real good puncher's chance and just kind of grinded his way up the depth chart there. We're talking about a stud that came in and then a stud behind him. So, Texas, obviously, we just had Chip on. I was going to ask him a question about the college football game that's coming out in a couple of weeks, this year's edition. Texas is the number 1 overall team on that game in terms of ratings, and for good reason, with Manning kind of pulling the strings. They will be certainly fascinating to watch this fall.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Back it up.
Yeah, and I mean, that will be the real question. Manning, we think, based on the name and based on, some of the talent that we have seen thus far, it seems like he's got the goods. But we still haven't just seen it all the way just yet. So that's why I'm kind of fascinated. One guy who we did see it from in the NBA postseason this year was certainly Tyrese Halliburton. And we obviously saw the gruesome injury, torn Achilles, likely to miss all of this season. Halliburton did go to socials yesterday and kind of put a statement out. Also shared a pic from the hospital, and I'll kind of surmise this as best I can, but Halliburton essentially tweets, says, "Man, I don't know how to explain this other than shock. Words cannot express the pain of this letdown." This is a lengthy statement from Halliburton here. He said, "The frustration is unfathomable. I've worked my whole life to get to this moment, and this is how it ends. It makes no sense. Now that I've had surgery, I wish I could count the number of times people will tell me I'm going to, quote, come back stronger. What a cliche. This 4-letter word sucks. My foot feels like dead weight, but what's hurting most, I think, is my mind. I feel like I'm rambling, but I know this is something I'll look back on when I'm through this as something I fought, as I'm proud that I fought through. It feels good to let this out on y'all without seeing the ugly kid cry." Kind of a real heartfelt statement there from Halliburton, and very refreshing to see him. I mean, this is a lengthy, I'm not even going to read the whole statement because it is so lengthy, but if you're a basketball fan, if you're a Pacers fan, if you're a Tyrese Halliburton fan, go and find that on his personal socials because he was definitely speaking from the heart. I mean, I'm glad that he took and kind of said things his way, David, but man, it also just makes me feel so sad for him as a man and as a athlete. But it also kind of still goes back to the point we made yesterday. It really feels like we missed out on a potential all-time great Game 7 if he was at full strength.
Yeah, he had an unbelievable season, that's for sure. I remember during the halfway point of the season, I believe it was The Athletic released a player-voted poll. It asked a variety of topics, and he was voted as the most overrated player in the NBA by his peers. And I feel like that was kind of fuel for him throughout the end of the postseason run. Well, really throughout the all postseason, but even towards the end of the regular season, he proved that he belonged, and he proved that he was one of the young and up-and-coming stars of the NBA. And you just hate to see this because this isn't just an injury; it's a gruesome injury that's going to take pretty much all of next season from him. And you just can't take that for granted. But he played his butt off, and he was off to a great start, kind of as we mentioned yesterday in that Game 7 where he hit 3 3-pointers in his first, I think, 7 minutes of action. So you knew that he was going to give it his all to try to give Indiana their championship.
Yeah, tough break for Halliburton. Safe and speedy recovery, hopefully. And hopefully he gets back to good, and hopefully the Pacers can recapture that magic as soon as possible because, we know the Thunder. We broke it down to death yesterday. The Thunder are worthy champs, but, man, you cannot help but be impressed with what we saw out of the Pacers. Finally, we closed the segment here on the grab bag. We talked about the Nashville Cats as well yesterday. Unless you're making the trip to Albany, you're probably thinking, man, I'm not going to have a good shot to watch the Cats. But wait, the Cats announced today that they are going to have a watch party, a special viewing party for the Arena Crown Championship game, which will be played Saturday. That action will get underway at 11:30 a.m. in Clarksville at the Strawberry Ale Works. So make sure that you check that out. If you're looking to watch the Cats, I've talked about it, that it's on Vice. I don't necessarily know how to find Vice TV or find the Arena Championship, David. So for me, when I see this statement, I'm thinking, hey, this is the best guaranteed way to watch the game on Saturday.
I don't know where to find Vice either. I don't know if I will watch the Arena Football League Championship. I will keep up with it probably on social media. I'm sure we'll get some updates, plenty of them across X. But best of luck to the Nashville Cats. They've had a great year, and it was really good to see them supported up at F&M Bank Arena in Clarksville and have a sellout crowd in their semifinal win. So best of luck to them this weekend.
Absolutely. We'll talk more on the Cats as the week continues and we get into closer and closer into Championship Saturday for them. But again, if you're looking for Cats action on Saturday, you're not making the trip, you don't know where Vice is, you don't know what Vice is, you're guaranteed to be able to watch it if you go to Strawberry Alley Ale Works in Clarksville. That action gets underway. They open at 11:30 a.m. for a special viewing party. So wanted to make sure that we shouted that out. Real quickly, speaking of shout-outs, David, we talked about Tight End University yesterday, and, you know, we were wondering who would be there. We were talking about the tight ends themselves, right? But if you got Kelsey, you kind of can't go too far without mentioning Taylor Swift. Apparently, she was spotted traipsing through the after party that they had last night at Jason Aldean's bar on Broadway. I try and steer clear of Broadway as much as humanly possible. But if you were in and around Broadway and you said, that girl looks like Taylor Swift, you wouldn't have been too far off, because it sounds like indeed was her last night.
Yeah, you had to think with her relationship with Travis Kelce, noted member and founder of Tight End University alongside George Kittle and Greg Olson, that she might make an appearance in Nashville. I mean, the weather's nice and warm, get you a nice tan this week. Nashville's the it city, so you think she might make a trip.
Yeah, so good to see T Swift showing some love. No word on if she will put on the shoulder pads and strap up over at Tight End University as they continue on the campus of Vanderbilt. We'll get an update as I think they're set to conclude Wednesday, but maybe Thursday. We'll have that. Blaine Keller will be in the saddle on Wednesday and Thursday. And a special reminder, Friday's show will be a best of compilation of our highlights, some of our favorites in the month of June. So make sure that you tune in for that. Thanks to producer Mark Rogers for putting that together. One of those segments that might be in our final cut for the month of June will be Top 5 Tuesday. And it comes your way right after this timeout. On the other side of this break, my stomach has been rumbling for the last 2 hours. I'm thinking about chain restaurants. When we come back, David and I will give you our top 5 best chain restaurants. It's part of Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia.
Being in Tennessee, we wanted to try to keep it as local as possible, so we have an entire section of our menu that is just dedicated to local whiskeys like Uncle Nearest, Jack Daniels, of course, George Dickel, Nelson Brothers, Greenbrier Whiskey, and all of our taps are all local. From 2 o'clock until midnight, we've got food every day for you guys. A good handful of appetizers, some entrees, and a couple salads and things like that. My name is Ethan Kanata. Please come down and see us at the Pick Lobby Bar here at the Omni in Nashville.
At Delta Dental of Tennessee, we know our success begins and ends with providing superior quality service, and that includes serving those who need it most. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of giving back to the community we call home. Delta Dental, along with our Smile 180 Foundation, supports Tennessee's dental colleges and oral health education, children's hospitals, free and reduced cost dental clinics, and other like-minded charities. Here's to the next 25 plus years of ensuring healthy smiles.
There's a line that links us all. Most of the time, we don't even think about it, but it's everywhere. Illuminating our neighborhoods, empowering our businesses, and helping us to recharge. Whether it comes from our grids, the sun, or a kind heart, we believe in the power of good energy. And as your family and region continue to grow, you can trust that we'll always be there for you. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
Final segment, boys and girls, here on this glorious Tuesday. We hope you're doing well. It is Top 5 Tuesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented as always by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Joined this afternoon by David Wilson. Thanks to David for filling in. He will be relieved, in a sense, by Blaine Keller tomorrow and Thursday. And I misspoke a moment ago. The month of May will be our highlight show on Friday. So if for some reason you missed any of our shows, if you missed or you want to revisit one of our favorites from the month of May, producer Mark Rogers has got you covered coming up on Friday. All right, without further ado, it is time, Top 5 Tuesday. David and I are breaking down top 5 chain restaurants. And David, in the interest of getting this segment over, getting this show over so I can hurry up and get something to eat, I say we get Top 5 Tuesday rolling. What do you have for your first pick, top chain restaurant?
I think this is going to be a popular opinion and a popular pick among us Southerners. I'm going to go Chick-fil-A, number 1. Chick-fil-A, number 1 overall pick by yours truly.
Chick-fil-A is a great pick. It was not going to be my number 1, but it was right up there. And Chick-fil-A is one of those spots where I'm not even in the mood for Chick-fil-A, but if I see it on the sign or I drive by it, all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I could maybe do with a little sandwich here. That's a good pull. And you can use the rewards app to cash in on some free goodies there. That's a good pull to start things off. I'm going to go with one. It starts with a C. It's not Chick-fil-A, though, but give me Chili's for number 1. It is the quintessential chain restaurant. It feels like there's a billion of them. You go out to Opry Mills at any given night, and there's like 400 people waiting in line, it feels like, to sit down at Chili's. Give me Chili's. You can find one in almost any town. Great chain spot, in my opinion.
I'm going to stick with the letter C, and this is maybe a controversial opinion, but it is a frequent stop for me on the way back on Sunday afternoons from Sounds games at First Horizon Park. Chipotle is a favorite of yours truly. Whether it's a burrito or a bowl, I'm always down for Chipotle. Get you some brown rice, some black beans on there, get you some of that honey chicken, some sour cream, all that good stuff. Chipotle up there.
Yeah, you could not have struck more gold there. Chipotle, it feels like, too. I'm going to whisper this because I don't want them to catch on to us. Prices are going up across the board on everything, but it still feels like you get a lot of bang for your buck at Chipotle. But they do give you a little bit of a side eye when they remind you that guacamole is extra.
I'm not a big guacamole guy. At least at Chipotle, I'm not. Maybe at a Mexican restaurant, sure. But, my bowl or my burrito is pretty sacred. It's sour cream, it's the lettuce, the pico, the cheese. It has to be a certain way.
I'm with you there. And I'm kind of in that same boat. Sometimes I get the guacamole, and I don't want to say I'm big boying them, but they kind of say, hey, it's extra. I'm like, well, yeah, I know it's extra. That's how bad I want it. But some days I don't, so I'm with you there. That's a good pull on Chipotle. Producer Mark had that high on his list, I've been told, as well. Up next for me, I don't really go to this one a ton, but there's one family member that has a birthday party every year at Olive Garden, and it kind of just captures the quintessential chain restaurant experience. I mean, it's always crowded. But the never-ending breadsticks is kind of enough for me to have a good time. But Olive Garden is right up there at the top of my chain restaurant list, I think. That's my number 2 pick.
That's where I went for lunch today.
Oh, baby.
Had a nice little chicken Alfredo with some broccoli in it, a little salad, no pepperoncinis. Olive Garden's a good pick. For number 3, this is a place I try to go at least once a week. Maybe I can't cook, so eating out is a big deal for me. I like Longhorns.
Ooh, that's a great pull.
Longhorns.
That is a great pull. I have not been there in ages, but it's one of those places me and the wife ride by, and we mention it every time we ride by. We're like, we should go to Longhorn, but we haven't got there yet. That's a great pull. This one is a personal favorite of mine. When I'm in Pulaski, our fast food options are limited. But I go with Subway, man. I know Subway's kind of hit or miss, and if you go to the right one, it's pretty good. If you go to the wrong one, it's really bad. But Subway in Pulaski, we've got 2 locations. One's inside of Walmart, which has its own unique set of circumstances. But give me Subway as a decent little fast food spot.
Okay. This is going to go back to college days, early Saturday mornings or late Friday nights. Waffle House is good. Waffle House is good. That nice. I'm not a breakfast guy, but I will have a nice little waffle and some eggs and some hash browns smothered and covered from Waffle House.
Man, that is a great pull. And after being out of the South for a week or two, the lack of road signs not advertising Waffle Houses kind of just threw me for a loop. I was glad to get back to Tennessee and see them at virtually every location. That's a good pull. Up next for me, if you go to this place, you kind of get a little bit of a workout because the menu weighs like 200 pounds. They've got like 600 options, but the Cheesecake Factory is about as cliche of a chain restaurant as they get. And I end up getting the same thing almost every time. I get some sort of pasta dish or I get some sort of grilled chicken dish. But the fact that I can look through like 65 pages of a menu, it just always makes me feel excited. Give me the Cheesecake Factory.
Okay, number 5 for me, and this is another place that I frequent over near Opry Mills. I like a good Logan's.
Yeah.
Like a good Logan's, you can get a variety there. You know, chicken salad, get you a nice little steak, get you some salmon. It's all across the board. Their menu just has enough variety in it. And it's that bar feel. You got TVs all the way around you. Watch a good game, have a nice little beer. Logan's is up there.
That is a great pull. That is a great pull indeed. Logan's is really hard to go wrong with that one. Last for me, kind of in that same vein, I'm going TGI Fridays because if it's not Chili's, there's usually one. You usually can't have one without the other, and if one is not there, the other one is there. But TGI Fridays, you don't even have to order off the menu sometimes. Just the appetizer menu is good enough, or do a little app trio or something. I could do some damage at TGI Fridays, and it's a popular choice of the whites, so we frequent that one a little bit. David, you mentioned
happy wife, happy life.
Yeah,
that's what they tell me.
It goes hand in hand. All right, David, I've got to ask you this. We mentioned Opry Mills a couple times. This is a bonus question. When you ride by Opry Mills, there's a restaurant to the side. Have you ever been to Cock of the Walk?
I want to say I have. But I don't remember. Now, have you been through Opry Mills? Have you been to Mission Barbecue?
I have not been there, but I'm adding it to the list now that you say that. Only reason I asked about Cock of the Walk is that is the quintessential. Every time we ride by it, we see either a million cars or like 2 cars in the parking lot. And me and the wife, we look at the menu and we're like, okay, that sounds kind of good, but we don't want to go out of the way to drive through 30 minutes of mall traffic to get there off the exit. So I was hoping maybe you had an inside report, but it sounds like you haven't either.
I don't think I have, but definitely add Mission Barbecue to the list. I feel like you would like that.
I'm going to go with Mission Barbecue, and then maybe me and you and Mo will get together for a gentleman's lunch at Cock of the Walk some point.
As long as Mo is paying.
As long as Mo is paying, yeah.
As the wily veteran, he's required to pay.
Absolutely. I love that. We got 2 pretty good lists, man, and I don't know which one of these I'm more hungry for, but I am excited to get into some food after going through this segment. Good stuff by you, David Wilson. Thank you for joining us on Top 5 Tuesday, and thank you, brother, for being here these last 2 days. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Have fun the rest of the week with Blaine. I'm sure he'll be entertaining. Little Astros, Texas Rangers rivalry right in front of everybody's eyes.
It's going to be fun. Best of luck to David's Braves tonight versus the Mets. Best of luck to everybody getting to their favorite chain restaurant tonight on Top 5 Tuesday. Wayne Neely saying so long. Valeria Shabilla and Heather Williams will join us tomorrow for Wild and Wacky Wednesday. This has been Main Street Sports Today, presented by TOA of Columbia. Happy Tuesday.